March the 29th. March the 29th. Does that sound right? Maybe it's the 30th. It's about 12 o'clock midday. I am out for a drive, and I wanted to talk about internal family systems. It's a theory of psychology, and you can gain a good insight into it by wrapping your head around the following story. There is a magical kitchen. Imagine that your parents have gifted you the keys to a house, and in that house is a magical kitchen. Now, you have a family to take care of when you are gifted this house. And the children of this family take occupancy of the lower floor, and you take occupancy of the upper floor. And you go in and out of the magic kitchen as is needed. And everything is hunky-dory, because when you go into that magic kitchen, all you have to do is press a magic button. When you press the magic button, the most beautiful and delicious food appears out of nowhere, and all the children will race up from the basement and feast themselves on this bounty of delight. Now, in this situation, the kids have nothing to worry about. The basement kids have nothing to worry about. There is a magical kitchen. Everything is provided for. You live happily upstairs and they live downstairs, and you go into the kitchen, you press a button, everything's hunky-dory. Imagine if one day the doorbell rings, you open the doorbell, and there's a woman holding on to 3 or 4 pizzas. She's got a handful of pizzas, and there's a bag on her back with ice cream and candy. And she says, "Hello there, how are you? My name's the Infinite Pizza Girl. Anytime you ask me, I'm able to appear with all this delicious pizza and all this delicious candy and ice cream. I heard that you have a basement full of kids. Would they be interested? Can you invite me in, please? Do you want to have a relationship?" And you look at this Infinite Pizza Girl. She might be good looking, maybe she is, maybe she isn't, but she's carrying a big pile of pizza, and you think, no, actually, I've got a magic kitchen. I go into my kitchen and press a button, and food far better than your miserable pizzas will appear. My kids have delicious, nutritious food, and they're happy, and they're at peace, and everything's fine with us. So if you don't mind, I'm going to wait for the equivalent to maybe the Infinite Steak Girl might come along. I might entertain that. If a woman was able to pull steak out of her arse at the drop of a hat. So imagine a different kind of kitchen, right? You're inside a house, the same kind of house. There's no button that you can press, and instead of having a magical kitchen, it's difficult for you to put food on the table. And you have a basement full of kids, and they're constantly needy. They're always hungry, and so you're constantly hearing them crying from above, shouting about how hungry they are. In that situation, the doorbell rings, you open the door, the woman introduces herself. "Hello, I'm the Infinite Pizza Girl. I can pull pizza out of my arse at the drop of a hat." I couldn't help but notice you've got a basement full of kids. You want me to come in and we can talk about a relationship? Now, in that case, the woman enters the house, the kids feast themselves upon this pizza, they are very satisfied and everything's hunky-dory. And everything might seem perfectly natural. This woman has now satisfied a need. And you can relax a bit because now at least those kids are being fed. But you notice after a while that the infinite pizza girl is making herself a home. She's kicked back on your couch. She's taken over the run of the place and she's telling you what to do. She's making you feel very uncomfortable. But at this stage, the kids are addicted to pizza. They're addicted to ice cream, and you're responsible for those kids. So you can't throw this woman out. The responsibility you have for the kids in the basement, you have now handed off to somebody that you barely know. And now you're in a situation where you have to overlook her flaws. And you'd be thinking to yourself, Jesus, it would be a lot better if she was able to, if she had a magical kitchen and she could go in and press a button, and in actual fact, we would end up having a bounty of delicious food and not shitty food. So in this metaphor, the food represents love. The magical kitchen is what parents will gift to you when they have praised you accordingly and when they have given you the emotional support that kids need. Look at those clouds over there. There's definitely a rainstorm on the way. So if your parents have raised you properly, you don't have to worry. You can just press a magic button and it's very natural for you to love and take care of those basement kids. And you can wait for some other woman to come along and maybe she's a magical kitchen person too. And the two of you will both have magical kitchens and you could both press each other's buttons, and the kids would benefit from the wonders created when each of you press that magic button. Whereas in the other situation, your parents didn't gift you that magical kitchen. You don't know how to adequately love those kids in the basement. And the first person who comes to your doorbell bearing a bounty of pizza, ice cream and candy or what have you is welcomed in. And maybe you might kick that first pizza woman out and she might be replaced by an infinite hamburger woman maybe. But in each case, you're not welcoming in a person with a magical kitchen, because really only magical kitchen people tend to seek other magical kitchen people, and broken people will just make do, because broken people aren't capable of loving the children in their basement. And so the long and short of it is, you need to kick the infinite pizza girl out of your house. You need to figure out how to love the basement children yourself. And once you can do all that, then maybe, just maybe, you might have something close to a magical kitchen. With the rain now, it's getting rainy. Look at that cow over there. Or a bull. Maayong hapon! They're not happy. Don't be filling me, they say. We're trying to fish. We've nothing to eat. You're just a foreigner who has everything. And we are fishermen who have nothing. So I'm not even going to bother saying hello to you. How do you like them apples? I love them. Let's hit the road. So the feeling you get sometimes, Okay, so what you might have just noticed there was I was just talking about those fishermen and how they didn't even say hello. When I jumped back on my bike, I hit record on the record button. I dropped the phone out of my hand. It falls through the grates and right down onto a bed of grass. That was the only bed of grass on the river. If it was anywhere else, if it was a meter forwards or backwards, that phone would have been right into the river and gone. But it landed on this bedrock. And so I went down, and true enough, the fishermen don't have a word of English. And so I'm saying, my phone is on the bedrock. And they're looking at me. They're looking at me as if to say, here, we're just fishermen. Why would we be able to figure out what the fuck it is you're talking about? So, after failing in my communication, I waded through the river myself, and then I took one step to the right and I go right down into the water, and then I come back out of it. Oh, hold on a minute, it's very deep there, isn't it? Oh, here lads, there's a storm, woohoo! Anyway, the fisherman helped me. They knew they couldn't communicate to me that it's deep over there and it's a bit shallow there, so they just went over. Got my phone. And so I gave them some money for beer, even though they wouldn't take it. Now there's a bit of a storm brewing. This is exciting, yeah? Whoever says it's a good idea to run away from the eye of the storm, it's better to go straight into it. So at the moment, just to give you some bearing, I'm about 20 minutes from my house, further in the direction of Murcia. And it's like a completely different world out here. You know, community. Look at that. Community centres around maybe one church, one sorry store, and one basketball court. Well lads, I'll have to press stop. I mean, this is, if I'm going to enjoy this storm at all,